Hey guys, Amy here. Welcome back to my channel. So today's video is the 5th in my Magical Memorabilia series where we travel back in time a little ways and revisit the days of Walt Disney World past, and I share with you my memories, memorabilia, and pictures from trips from when I was a kid. So today's video we are going to focus on 96 and 1997, and these were the years, if you remember, that Walt Disney World was celebrating its 25th anniversary, and they went ahead and painted the castle pink and decorated it like a birthday cake, and it was quite a sight to behold if you remember that. So before I get into showing you the pictures from those trips, I did have a few items that I wanted to share with you, and the first one is my actual photo album from our 97 trip, and it has here, Remember the Magic. That was the actual name of the celebration. And on the back it has the 25, indicating 25 years of magic. And on the inside I actually wrote down the dates of our trip. So we were there from July 23rd through July 27th in 1997. And before I get into showing you my actual shots of the cake castle, there's a good one. These are actually, I have two of them. It's a postcard, but it's a good shot of that. I'm curious to know what you guys thought of this. Like, did you get to go when the castle was like this? Did you like it? Did you think it was hideous? My thoughts were kind of in the middle. I think if I was going to Disney World for like only one time in my life, I would want to see like the traditional Cinderella's castle. But it was kind of cool that they went through all this trouble and made it look like a big birthday cake. And this here is just something that I had in the cover of the photo album, and it's just a pressed coin indicating the 25th anniversary celebration. So it has Simba on it and the year 1996 listed. When we were there in 96, it was actually summer of 96. It was before the celebration actually started, so the castle wasn't finished yet. It was just kind of painted half pink. They didn't have any of the cake decorations on it yet or anything. But back then, Disney celebrations tended to run for at least a year, so until we went back the following year, everything was all completed. And one other thing that Disney was doing during that celebration was they would give you these pins, and I actually have a ton of these for some reason. I don't remember if they gave us one every time we went into a park for each guest, I'm assuming, because oh, look, I have a bag, shopping bag from back then, and it's filled with those pins. They're not actual pins per se, they're kind of made like of a styrofoam type material and just have adhesive on the back. This one still actually has the paper, you could peel it off and I could stick it on if I wanted to, but they had different ones. This one says Guest of Honor. And I kid you not, this whole bag, like I said, is just filled with them. I probably have like 20 of them here. But they have ones, what I was looking for was they had first visit pins as well. So this was marked 1982 for my first visit to Walt Disney World. So I just thought it was interesting that I still had all these pins from that trip, so I figured why not share. And one last thing was this ticket from our luau at the Polynesian. We went, I remember we were staying at the All-Star Sports, Glenn and I, and we went to the desk where you could buy tickets and things and had them book this for us. So back then, for the luau, it was only $37 per adult. And here I am at the luau. This was the one and only time that we got to go to this, so it was quite an experience. We had a great time, great food. I know, I would highly recommend it. But moving on this trip we stayed at the Caribbean Beach Resort, and here's Glenn and I. We always like taking the picture with the room number in the background. I'm sure a lot of people do that, but this is the room back in the day, the old style. And here it is, the half-painted pink castle. It wasn't obviously anywhere near completion. It looks like they were in the beginning stages here, so it was a very rainy trip. I remember that, but it was weird to see the castle that way. And the following year, 97, was the first trip that Glenn and I actually took on our own. We stayed at All-Star Sports. And here we were hanging out inside the room before we headed out for our day wherever that was, and Glenn here has the old school mugs that actually used to have the resort you were staying at on them. And even though this was our first trip going down, just the two of us, my parents did go down at the same time. They stayed again at the Caribbean Beach Resort, so we went over there to meet up with them. And of course we went over to the Polynesian for a visit, because if you watched my videos before, you know that any trip to Disney for us is not a trip without visiting the Polynesian. And here it is, the piece de resistance, the Cake Castle. And here's a better shot of it, a little close up. And what I thought was strange with this was, if you take a look here, here's the back side of the castle. Why is that little section of the castle still white at the bottom? Why didn't they paint that pink? I have OCD issues. So that wraps up this episode of Magical Memorabilia. I hope you guys enjoyed reliving the Cake Castle days, and if you like this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up, leave a comment below, and consider subscribing if you haven't yet. Next week I'm going to have another entry in this series, and it's going to be based all on Animal Kingdom, which perfectly coincides with the 20th anniversary that is on Sunday. It was 20 years ago, April 22nd. 1998 that Animal Kingdom opened. And as always, I thank you for watching, and until next time, I hope you have a magical rest of your day. And remember, life is better with Disney. Peace.